I read, the government seems to have a compelling case.
And John, the political lesson that Donald Trump has learned here again, has learned over the years in his short time in politics, is that just put your head down, call it a witch hunt, and your support will not only hold, but he'll gain ground on Ron DeSantis in this case, as we saw in that NBC News poll. So there's no indication. He would seek a plea deal. He would agree to anything like that. He's just going to say it was a witch hunt. I've been exonerated and plow forward. That may catch up to him this time, though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of lawyers would advise him to take that deal, but he, of course, has shown no inclination to do so. We have noted time and again, his poll numbers are only going up in a Republican primary. That may be a very different story come a general election were he to be the GOP nominee. We should note he, in his Truth Social post last night, he didn't challenge the validity or the authenticity of the tape. He took a different interpretation of it, but didn't say it was fake. Charlie Sykes, let's turn to the politics of this. I mean, if you're, let's say, Ron DeSantis, who's appearing in New Hampshire today, just like Trump is, or one of the other candidates, and to this point, your message has been basically to defend Trump on this issue. Let's set aside Chris Christie. He's been on the attack. The rest of them have largely defended Trump and criticized Jack Smith instead. But here you have on tape, more or less, Donald Trump waving papers around saying, I'm committing a crime right now. Right. Isn't that the moment where it could be an opening for some of these Republicans to change their tune?
Well, you would think so, right? But I mean, how many potential off ramps have they had that they passed by? You know, you are hearing the voices like Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson and Will Hurd, who are, you know, calling out Donald Trump and talking about this indictment. But the other candidates apparently have settled on the strategy of you know, hoping that somehow Donald Trump will implode or that Jack Smith will take care of him. Look, this will be an interesting moment. If Ron DeSantis actually wants to win this nomination, he's going to have to eventually go at Donald Trump, but he's going to have to talk about Donald Trump's unfitness for office. So far, he has been unwilling to do that, even though he's sort of tiptoed toward it. But I think this is the interesting question. Does this make a difference at all? My sense is probably not, even though this tape is extraordinary. I mean, not only do you have a former president of the United States admitting maybe multiple felonies on tape, but he's laughing in a cavalier manner about sharing war plans. You would think on Earth 2.0, where we have a rational political system, that this would be the definitive breaking point. But we've seen this show before. So until Republicans actually decide, wait, you know, this former president actually, you know, was laughing while he was giving away war plans that might have cost or might cost American lives, you have to assume that's going to be
American lives.
So, Jen,
welcome to a special edition of RBN Live Tuesdays. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's poppin', my friends, my family? It's great to be back for RBN Live, starting with Nick and CJ. And you've been seeing a lot of these segments on corporate media and among Democratic Party media, who they cannot possibly understand why their propaganda has not worked, why American people who are struggling with paying the rent, who are living under authoritarian fascist police state, why we don't care about these fucking classified documents. The Democrats really believe that's going to be the needle mover. There's two things that Democrats are doing. Well, I'm like, okay, they don't care if they win. For one, they are running on funding Ukraine. So they're doing this thing where they say, well, if we don't win, then the Republicans going to block Ukraine funding. Okay, that explains the polls we're about to show you guys. There's some polls that explain why this strategy is not working. And there's the second thing where they expect the American people to accept the Democratic premise that this is not weaponized attacks on Donald Trump. Whether you don't like Donald Trump or not, according to recent polls, majority of independents see the investigations in Donald Trump as political. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is an angel. The point is, Joe Biden got caught doing classified documents. And the only argument that Morning Joe and Democrats use to separate the two is, oh, Joe Biden, he cooperated with the authorities. So CJ, if you committed murder, and you cool, can you at least cooperate with them? Murder.
If we parole, you get 50 years.
So the point is, like, everyone sees both parties as being corrupt. So the Democrats want us to think that Donald Trump is uniquely corrupt, and that's not working. And now that's copium, because now they got to report that their propaganda is not working day in, day out. They want people just to focus on Trump's crimes, as they got Jim Crow Joe, one of the most corrupt politicians in the modern era, as their leader. As they have Hakeem Jeffries as their House leader, literally an unapologetic Zionist Wall Street puppet. But they want American people to be freaked out about Trump. It's not working. But we're gonna get that.
I think that's why, like, independent media, why they're so afraid of independent media and why it's so much censorship, because they're losing the narrative. Because they're saying that stuff, but then you have people like Joe Rogan, people like Jimmy Dore, who are getting more like views than corporate cable news is getting. So when you have these dynamics like us, like Garland Nixon, like Lee Camp, which we're going to be having on later on this week, like Jimmy Dore, like Convo Couch, all these great networks, and I don't want to forget somebody like Ben Norton, Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal. When we're speaking the real narrative to the worker, when we're talking, it's opposite of what they're saying. This is why we're seeing such suppression of us. This is why, Nick, we played literally a governmental agency talking about COVID, and then they gave us a strike because it's outside of the bounds of their narrative, and they're really, and Obama speaks about this a lot, narrative control. Now, he doesn't say that, but when he's talking about, it's too many, we got to get the same facts. He's talking about narrative control, because the facts that the government have isn't the real facts, but that's the facts that he's that they're speaking of.
That's the thought behind our name, Revolutionary Blackout Network. We're gonna block out this corporate propaganda. You get nothing but proletariat education, debunking, like aggressive debunking of the propaganda. People don't even know how much they are being programmed by corporate news. I reported on this yesterday. The majority of Americans that supporting sending weapons to Taiwan. Like that's because people are being fed corporate garbage. So we can take a non-partisan post-duopoly stance that the establishment cannot deal with. So they push for censorship. Like our channel has been massively suppressed. They've been waiting to give us a strike. We finally played that one clip. They were waiting. We're not talking about COVID on RBN because it's just too risky. They were like, we wait. As soon as you play one clip, COVID clip, got you, motherfucker. We got you slipping. You know they've been waiting for that.
Yeah.
Right?
And proof to that is that you played it on your station. They just, what did they do? They took the video down. They didn't give you a strike. And that's just proof that they're literally, like, if you have a reach and you're really saying something, not to say your channel doesn't have a reach, but this channel has a slightly larger reach. No. This can't happen over here. And they give us a strike.
Just to emphasize what CJ said, just in case people don't know, we played the clip again on our Rumble only stream, but I also live streamed that on my personal YouTube account that I don't use anymore. I got like maybe 4,000 subscribers on there. So despite the fact they banned RBN for the clip, they didn't ban my channel for it. And not only did we play the clip, we also got into some conversations that's only safe to have on Rumble. I told you guys what I really felt about the vaccine, et cetera, right? Let's say for YouTube's sake, let's say I say it was safe and effective, but let's say it was the Rumble version of that, right? But remember, that rant was also uploaded on my smaller YouTube channel. They didn't touch that, but they fucked with the RBN for something much less. And
that tells you we have reach, we have influence, and they know it. Go ahead.
You have the liberal establishment that's openly decrying communication. They decrying debate. They don't want a public square. So you have liberals on top of their breath, like Mehdi Hassan, Peter Hotez. Please don't debate RFK. Please don't debate him.
That's just sad.
You had liberals on top of their breath saying, Hassan Piker, please don't debate Nick. Please don't debate. Like, and they are 100% for the censorship. And they have this idea where, like, if you disagree with someone, you can't talk to them, you can't platform them, you can't have a conversation with them. And this is because of the weakness of their ideology. And this leads them to authoritarian tendencies where they want to silence debate. And we mentioned this when Rashida Tlaib was running from Tim fucking Pool. As a leftist, we thrive on the public square. Fred Hampton used to give public debates.
Yes.
MLK, Malcolm X, public conversation speeches, right? Speeches.
And that's the reason.
We dare people to challenge it. But go ahead, I
was going to say, and then the reason leftists should be, in theory, is because you're on the side of morality. You're on the side of being human. So you want to be able to show the contradiction in the current system. And now that's what you want to do. You gravitate that. We hunger for that. Unless that's not who you are. Unless you're on the side of the establishment, on the other side of people like us. Go ahead, Nick. If you were,
dude, I would salivate for the chance that Tim Pool or any sort of right wing reactionary to try and call me out for my hypocrisies. I would love that platform. Rashida Tlaib ran away. Oh no, don't be rude. No hostility, right? If I gave a speech, I gave speeches. I gave a speech at the March of America for All. I gave a speech at Worker Strike Back. And anytime during the speech, if some guy came up and challenged me, I would thrive in that environment. I tell you guys the story. I spare you guys all the time. I tell you the story of my famous argument with the guy in the barbershop. I told you the story many times on the channel because I thrive in barbershop style conversations. I thrive in these kind of debates. And that leftist should be, if you believe in your principles, if you believe in your education, if you're well read on your history, if you're not falling for shit-lived talking points, you should thrive in the public square, which is why people avoid RBN at all costs. At all costs. The Hill fucked up, brought me on with Robbie. They said, oh, never fucking again. Never fucking again. Never
and
again.
Nick says barbershop style debate, because in black barbershops, we're always debating. It's always, now you might call it an argument, but it's always like, it doesn't matter what, it could be something funny. Oh, that latest Chris Rock special, that's not funny. As it is, like, there's a debate in that. It's sports debates all the time. This is this style of challenging and your ideas, putting it out there. This is like a custom in black barbershops.
Yeah, and that's why I gave multiple speeches in the black barbershop. Once again, I told Zoe we got to brag more because there's boutique leftists that smear us as not doing anything. So we understand where we're going to brag more. So I used to give many speeches in Black Barbershop. You guys know who the guy who played Cyborg? I think his name like Ray Fisher or something like that. He played Cyborg in Justice League. I was with him. We was hanging out because he was part of the Bernie campaign. He's actually a progressive. I don't know how far left he is, but he was talking about black issues. He was very progressive. He was someone in Hollywood that was like, I fuck with Bernie Sanders. So he's above the jib, right? And I met the dude, very, very fucking smart guy. I know, and the funny thing is, I don't watch any of the DC movies, so I don't know the celebrity of them. People was like, dude, Nick, it's crazy. You're hanging out with fucking Cyborg, bro. And I was like, damn, you don't watch that. I didn't watch the movie. It's crazy, but he was a dope-ass dude. He was very, very smart. And because of his celebrity, the Bernie campaign was doing this thing where they were sending us, because they knew I was part of the black coordinators for the Bernie campaign in South Carolina. So they got Cyborg. We met up because they knew me from Twitter. Went around multiple barbershops giving speeches, having every brother nod their head. Remember, in conservative ass South Carolina, the Nina Turner campaign said, oh, there's nothing we can do to win centrist black Democrats. We are doomed. Meanwhile, we were spitting socialist shit out farther to the left of Bernie Sanders in hindsight, because we were talking about like black issues, shit that Bernie Sanders really don't believe. But we were telling this shit to black people, and they were like, hell yeah, this political platform we appreciate. And one time I was on my own. I was jumping barbershops on my own because I was that confident. I had no backup. And I was preaching socialism. I was talking about our radical tradition. And this is the speeches I was giving in the barbershop. And this is the only time, now all my speeches had this dude was livid at me. It was a 72-year-old man. And I'm going to tell you why I know his age. He was sitting there, livid. Everyone getting good reactions. This dude was just sitting there. I'm wondering, like, all right, what's up, this dude? Then right when I got in, because so prostitute me, let me finish my whole spiel. Right at the end, he was like, how dare you, you youngin'? You don't know anything about the death and harms of socialism. So I was like, oh shit, my first black real Fox News MSNBC. And he went really hard at me, guys. And I kind of sat there. He was like, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. Socialism is not friends of our community. And then I guess I tell a story for new viewers. I literally just sat there and listened to him because I was thinking like, oh, dude, this is about to be fun. Like I love these kind of, especially the black, everyone watching Black Barbershop.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like, okay. And he said, I'm 74 years old, 72, 74. He's like, I'm not going to listen to you young kids. They don't tell me about socialism. I've lived through this. Like, bro, you live in South Carolina. You're a victim. He's like, I lived through this. He's like, and I'm like, I was like, okay, so I'm a young guy. MLK, anti-capitalist, much older than me. Our black leader that you respect, right? And he was like, this is where he's really fucked up. He said, MLK not no socialist. Brain completely colonized. When I realized who I was dealing with, because we're in the barbershop, I started the theater. So I was like, oh, you don't know. You know, this is barbershop conversation. This is why I thrive in. You don't know, bro. Oh, you think, I was like, you think MLK is a capitalist? And I was like, trying to hang him. He was like, there's no way MLK was socialist. I was like, all right. He like, show me evidence. So I literally Googled, and there was an article written by Katie Halper that I found of the 11 most anti-capitalist MLK quotes. I literally pulled this shit on my phone. I was like waving in front of everyone. I said, this guy is older than me. He's older than me, but he don't know this because he's brainwashed. I literally started like clowning him. And then as soon as I pulled up, he like left. He was like super pissed off. I talked to the owner. He like, dude, that was actually pretty impressive. And I made an example of him because I exposed his ignorance because I was like, you sure? Are you sure about this? And then I brought up how the Black Panthers is a Marxist Leninist organization.
Most black people don't know that. Most black people don't know that.
Malcolm X said, if you show me a capitalist, you show me a rat. Like he hated capitalists. Like this is a black tradition. So you saying you're an old man? How dare you tell me about socialism? You don't know your own roots, sir. And this is why I love this kind of conversation because I was making a show of it at that point. Because he was very hostile to me. I was very patient. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna expose how brainwashed you are. And it was like it was very fun. That was one of my most treasured memories of the campaign.
My most treasured memories, putting down this 70-year-old.
I literally, if you guys think I made this up, there's literally a tweet I can show you guys if you ever doubt me. Well, I tweeted about it the same day. I took a picture with the barbershop owner because the barbershop owner was like, dude, that was hella fun. Because he saw the whole debate. He was like, you make a lot of sense. I talked to the good. He was 100% okay with it. He was a really cool guy because I was like, you okay with me if I do this bill? He's like, yeah, I'm good for it. I'm glad to see brothers get into politics again. Very great guy. I'll dig up the picture and show you guys. It was one of my most treasured memories. And why I tell you guys, despite my criticism of Bernie, I still love my fucking experience. Cause I talked to so many people in my community and got them towards our position. Me, people like him, once again, I didn't win him over because it was about winning the audience over at that point. But maybe that motherfucker was like, MLK's anti-capitalist. Fuck that nigga talking about. Plant the seeds. He's not gonna admit it there because I embarrassed him. But maybe
he was
later
devastated.
He
you know what he was devastated about? He was devastated like, damn, I didn't live 50 plus years not even understanding that I was in the wrong position. And that's what the come to Jesus moment. But he can't say I was never told. He was old, but he was told and he was exposed. So that type of conversation is so. Go ahead, bring that up.
I'm sorry, CJ, but this is the picture.
No, go ahead.
Like this is one of my. I love this conversation. This is at the time. When was the day? This February 2020, fam.
Wow.
That's the owner right there. Very cool fucking guy. Older guy. And unlike the other older guy, he was hearing my saying like, damn, this brother spitting. Like he had no problems with what the fuck he heard. That's why he was wanting to let me take this picture. I was like, you want to take a picture? He's like, yeah, bet. And he was a great guy. So this is the barbershop experience. And I'm mad because I had a video on Facebook when I was with Cyborg, the Ray Fisher guy, but the video is deleted. I found the link, like it's deleted, it's gone, it's weird. But anyway, a lot of good memories I had back then.
There's a lot of glitches like that on. There's a lot of glitches like that.
I'm mad I lost that video. It's very annoying. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, this clip. So we're gonna get into some of the topics. Now, this is a broad topic, and you see the thumbnail, and it's full panic mode. And the reason it's a broad topic because it's a lot invested in here. They're talking about how third party, because Biden is weak and they're panicking in corporate media and print media. You've seen it. They're panicking because his numbers aren't getting better. Like when anytime the polling is like their report card. You remember you were young. It's like, man, report card's coming, report card day. polling is their report card on their propaganda. So Chuck Todd on Meet the Press this last week kind of goes over some of the polling, and I want to play that to get started on our segment on full panic mode and whatever you want to throw in. Like I said, some of this is going to be about third-party panic, and you can see, but it's all centered around Joe Biden is the weakest incumbent probably since Jimmy Carter, and he's probably weaker than Jimmy Carter right now. Like his current state is probably weaker than Jimmy Carter, and the people who are getting into the race, like Cornel West, is better than the opponents that got into the race when Jimmy Carter was. So this is going to be really bad. But let's set the scene with at least the polling. This is Meet the Press. I got this video up for Twitter, so hopefully it works all the way through.
We have a brand new NBC News poll that we are releasing this morning, and in it, voters are deeply dissatisfied with the direction of the country. They're concerned about the mental and physical well-being of President Biden. But the story of the last 4 years is still true today. And in this poll, the best thing for a Biden re-election campaign continues to be the presence of Donald Trump. Just 20% of voters believe this country is headed in the right direction. 74% say the nation is on.
Nick, you know how bad that is? Like, if you're looking at this poll historic, this is one of the things they've been taking for, I think, 20 or 30 years, maybe more. This specific question, two options or a few options. And it's rare. Like, this president has been in the 70s his entire time. But yet, if you turn on corporate media, they're telling you he's doing great. Inflation reduction rate. He's doing great. He worked out a deal to avert a debt ceiling. But it's not translating in their own polling. And it's probably worse than this because, they're cherry picking stuff during some of these polls to make it look as good as he don't. Because I don't think Joe Biden is at 43% approval rating. I think he's in the 30s. But they know where to go to ask the questions to get the best result. You get what I'm saying? They know not to come down to Compton and ask nobody about no damn Joe Biden. They know not to come down in your neck of the woods or Detroit or Orlando or Boston and say, hey, what's up with Joe Biden? Because they know which areas to go. And even in those cherry-picked areas, Nick, his polling is abysmal. Abysmal. And let's continue.
Is on the wrong track. Let me tell you something about this moment. We have had this sustained period of 70%, about a year now. The last two periods in the history of this poll that we've had this kind of sustained negativity about the direction of the country was before the 92 election and before the 2008 election. Both of those changed the party controlling the White House. Now, let's get into more of the poll. Biden's job rating.
You notice how this is a propaganda report lesson also, because the language they choose to describe when Joe Biden is doing bad versus when Trump. And he says, you notice he says, in both of those elections, 92, and I think he said 2008, it changed the people in the office. Why didn't he just say, Joe Biden is in trouble because he's going to lose this election? You see how they prevent, it's a psychological thing, if you can roll with me without me going a full explanation, but it's a psychological thing that you can say you can talk about the same thing, 43%, and you can describe it one way that comes off as softer, or you can describe it another way. Now, if this was just Donald Trump, they would say, yeah, he's doing terrible. Look at his terrible numbers. That's not the way they're going to describe it for Joe Biden. Go ahead, Nick.
And another thing to consider as well, because it's too bad that Nikki Haley is running a joke of a campaign that stands no chance, because she has one of the best strategies running against Biden. I don't know if you guys know, she made controversy in headlines when she said, I'm not running against Biden. He's old as hell. He's going to die. And then liberals voted down because they was like, you're so mean. And then she's like, no, I don't give a fuck. My strategy is I'm running against Kamala Harris. I don't know if you guys missed that whole thing, but it was a thing in the news for a while. And Nikki Haley since has been like, yo, I don't care if you guys get mad at me. It's statistically proven that Biden is most likely to die in office. So as Republicans, we need to run against Kamala Harris.
Wow.
Now, why do I bring this up? And I'm literally just quickly interjecting this, and we get back to the video. Absolutely. You got Biden's horrible numbers, and you got Kamala Harris, who sets the record low for vice president net favorability. Imagine being worse than Dick Cheney. In my piss, Kamala did it. So if the Trump campaign, which I think they will, if they adopt Nikki Haley's strategy, like if you guys start paying, you see she's doing this. Well, she's tagging Kamala. She's like, no, Biden's not going to be there. I'm not, don't give a fuck. I think that's going to be a devastating strategy because Kamala is baffling how bad of a politician she is. I put the video back up.
It may be an effective strategy, though. Effective in the sense that because people hate. The reason is kind of genius because her polling is worse.
Yeah.
So if you run against her polling, which is in the 30s, I think 33, 32 or something like that, or maybe it's an updated number in that article you had. If you run against that, it's an even better chance. So I mean, it's kind of good, but the problem is it's coming from Nikki Haley, so it's not,
Yeah, that's why I say that you need someone who actually stands a chance that is doing this. And I'm just showing a receipt here. This is Nikki Haley mocked Biden for his age, predicting that he'll die in 5 years and won't live to see the end of the second term. You can see the kind of cope in this headline as well. And the thing is, when Nikki Haley said it, she was like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm literally just giving you, there's a good chance, there's a good chance that men die between the age of 81 and 86. Statistically, there's a good chance he's going to die. And then you see it was melting down. Anyway, let me put the video back up.
He cannot, man. This
that
is why
strategy is going to be devastating because she's hitting on an issue that I actually tell people be careful about when you guys talk about Biden's age because there's so many worse things you can talk about than that. It's something that liberals want you to talk about is his age. So you can be like, oh, you just criticize him just for his age. So I think it's a trap. But according to polls, it's a legitimate issue. Like the vast majority of Americans are worried about Biden's. I think I saw a poll where it was like 60% worried about his age. So not only is it a good way to get Americans to focus on something that they care about, even though they shouldn't, it also gives them to focus on someone they hate, like Kamala Harris. So it's actually a great strategy. Nikki Haley can't pull it off because she's a joke of a candidate. I have a segment I may do on Nick at Night. She's literally running as a George Bush Republican. So she made this ad that's extremely unhinged level hawkish on China. So she's like, I'm gonna beat Trump being a fucking neocon. So anyway, she's not serious, but it is a good strategy against the Democrats that Trump may pick up or Ron DeSantis may pick up. But go ahead, CJ. You can.
And welcome to those that just joined us on Rumble. It was some glitches on Rumble, and I finally got it fixed. And I think we're live now on Rumble. So welcome. Cool. Sorry for the late. You came in about 30 minutes after we started, but you didn't miss too much. But back to this video. Full panic mode is what corporate media and cable news is, in print media also. And also all of the, the minions, all of the K-hives, they're all kind of on a downward spiral. And let's finish this video out because there's a couple of more case study videos to cover.
Sits at just 43%, about where it's been since the withdrawal from Afghanistan. 53% disapprove. A full 68% of voters, including 43% of Democrats now, which is twice what it was in 2020, say they are concerned that Biden does not have the necessary mental and physical health to be president. For what it's worth, when we ask the same question about Donald Trump, who's just a couple of years younger than Joe Biden, a majority also have concerns, but it is 55%, a full 13 points lower.
Look at that, Nick. That is amazing. So that's essentially 7 out of 10 people are saying this guy, this guy, like, and is this Democrats? Let me make sure. Oh no, I think this is everybody. So 68% of people is speaking to this, and to your point earlier, the reason why I do hate when we bring up the age stuff is because it dilutes the critique of Joe Biden.
Yeah, there's a reason why Democrats bring it up.
Yeah, it's because like we should be critiquing him all the bad stuff, but you're just mad at his age. Look at you, like it's like infantile. It's to sort of say your critiques of him are infantile. They're not based in any sort of real critique of his policy, and that's why they do that.
You guys know it's like, I'm not even saying it's like critiquing his age is not legit. I think that's a legit criticism, but that's like bottom of the like. Right. You guys know I never talk about it. Like there's so many things to talk about regarding Biden except his age, and that's why all the corporate news shift to that first. Americans concerned about his age. What about the fact that Americans are mad that he didn't give us $2,000 checks? How about the fact that he literally expanded the military industrial complex that nobody wanted? But so they can't leave with that, so they leave with what's comfortable for them to talk about, which is age. So then the liberals can come out like, oh my God, there's a problem with ageism in our society. Look how old Donald Trump is. There's another effective tactic they use too. They're like, yeah, Biden's old, but look how old Donald Trump is, which is a legit counter argument that Trump supporters got to reconcile with, right? But anyway, I'll ramble enough. I'll pass.
Do you think they're not hearing about the other critiques? Because this plays into how you can tell that the media is not on our side. Because you know they're hearing other critiques, but they're selectively not putting those on. And ask yourself, if you're media and you're here in the Constitution, you're here, the press is supposed to be helping the people know what the government is doing, but you're obscuring the most critical critiques of this candidate and trying to act like it's just age. Go ahead.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I'm gonna expand on that. Imagine if the corporate media, and I'm talking about like the change in consciousness, right? Imagine what would happen in the corporate media instead of talking about his age, and he was like, "Yeah, the American people are concerned about the Willow Project. We polled about the Willow Project." That would change the entire like Overton window. More people would be talking about it. But instead, they're like, "Oh, most people are concerned about his age." Imagine if they said, and they ran stories about how, didn't we had criticism of Trump's ICE funding? You know, Joe Biden fund ICE more than Donald Trump. Does that concern you? Imagine they polled that. Imagine they asked the question to Democrat voters: does it concern you that Joe Biden is funding the ICE more than Donald Trump? Nigga, a ton of Democrat voters, I think, would say yes. And then they can do stories like, a lot of Democrats are worried about Joe Biden funding ICE more than Donald Trump. That would be a completely different conversation, but they purposely suppress any substantive criticisms of their oligarchs. Meanwhile, I think I made a point. We can continue the video, CJ.
Than the concerns over President Biden. But in 2020, Biden won more because of who he wasn't than of who he was. And in a head-to-head matchup, Biden leads Trump by the same 4 points that he defeated him by in 2020, 49-45. In a matchup against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, you can see here it's 47-47. I'll tell you in a few minutes what that difference is and who are those swing voters. One thing that doesn't appear to be changing voters' minds so far is Donald Trump's federal indictment. Just 34% of a positive feeling towards Donald Trump, 56% feel negatively. Guess what? This hasn't changed a bit in about...
This is their report card. You're failing at your job. This is your report card. And what did he say? It has not changed a bit as he circles it. He is devastated. Maybe this is why he's leaving Meet the Press. He's like, oh, damn it. We can't get this shit to budge. That's why I'm over this.
Everyone's going.
Yes. Let's continue. And right here. Sorry, guys. Switch tabs.
Out a year. And although a majority of voters overall, 55%, have real concerns about these federal charges against Trump, just 23% of Republicans do.
This is the number that matters.
Dude, that's actually a fucking ton, dude. Like, if you think about it, and the thing is, they're bitching about this, but if you really think about it, 1 out of 5 Republicans caring about that, that's a lot. That you should be happy you got that number, sir. You should be lucky you got that number. And then the overall number, obviously, that's embarrassing. And this is where, like, most of us lay at, like 45% with minor or no. Because, like, this is not a proletariat issue at all. This should not keep you up at night at all.
This is why I don't understand. I don't understand why. Literally, I watched CNN live last night to get some news. The entire show was Trump, not any other segments. The entire show. Do you think the 77% of GOP voters are watching CNN? Like, whose mind are you changing? You are only speaking to the people who are already on your side. It's why I don't understand the dynamic, because they're doing this stuff and it's like, this is not changing anything. That's because they're not watching you.
I know you've seen this on Morning Joe, because Joe Scarborough keep doing this thing where he's like, why isn't Ron DeSantis? Why aren't the other Republican primary challengers calling out Trump on this Democratic talking point? And it's like, because they're in a Republican primary. And it was a freaking out, because when the indictment happens, it was like, oh my God, it's shameful that Ron DeSantis and all his other rivals are covering for him. He's like, the hubris of these people that think that Republicans going to repeat Democratic Party talking points. If they did that, they would be toast in the primary. Like Chris Christie is doing a lot of that, but he's toast. He's standing no chance.
Nick, did you see yesterday he was at a rally or somewhere doing a speech, and they booed him when he started talking about Trump. And they put it on the news, on CNN. Maybe we'll get to another segment then, but yeah, they booed him. And then CNN brought him on to talk about it. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, and I said this before. Chris Christie is a media plant. Chris Christie on his own would not be running. Chris Christie is running so they can do what they did yesterday. Have him go out and say some Trump stuff and bring him on the show. Let's talk about it. When him and Pence are literally getting some of the worst numbers out of the entire GOP primary.
They gave Chris Christie a town hall, but they're not giving RFK a town hall. Like, Chris Christie stands no chance at all. But CJ, you really nailed it, because he really a candidate that's just there to fill headlines. He's gonna repeat the Democratic line on Trump, and they're gonna write headlines about Chris Christie telling it as it is, as he continues to stink in the Republican primary field. Well, let's continue CJ.
I think they mentioned it right here. Let's see. I think they mentioned Chris Christie. He goes through a bunch of numbers here, so let's see.
And primary voters, just 16% told us they have a major concern about this. Instead, 64% of Republican primary voters call the investigations into Trump a politically motivated attempt to stop him. We asked the same question. And
look at this, man. You see why they got it really bold and red? Because they want to make sure, look, this is not regular people, but politically motivated attempt to stop Trump. 64%.
Once again, I think that number is great. I don't know why they're complaining. Like, and I'm making this point for a reason, to show how unhinged they are. Like, because as someone who's non-biased observer, like, just think about it. Like, take the bias out. Only 2 out of 3 thinking politically motivated. I mean, 1 out of 3 Republicans are like, actually, I don't think it's politically motivated. That's a lot, dude. That's a fucking lot of people. Like, I did not consider Republicans to be that rational. So I'm making this point to show you how unhinged the liberal establishment is, because what number do you expect? Chuck Todd?
But the thing is, I think if you're a person who's in a professional managerial class, you ever see these students who are, I want an A in every class, like everything, that's these types of professional managerial class. So it doesn't matter if this is a decent number. They want A's, Nick. They want A pluses, Nick. They want A plus pluses. That's what they want. So unless this number is flipped, they want this number to be 64%, which is just unreasonable. It's unreasonable.
Yeah, let me know in the chat, but I honestly think 1 out of 3 Republicans saying, I don't think this charge is politically motivated. I think that's actually pretty impressive. But anyway, let's continue.
In April, it's just 4 points less than what it was in April. 31% say it's important to nominate a candidate who will not be distracted by legal problems and can focus on beating Biden. Pay attention to that 31% a minute here. So I'm going to show you something in a minute. And though only half of the Republican Party, 49%, say the Republican Party should continue to be led by Donald Trump, the not Trumpers are not coalescing around any of Trump's rivals. Trump overperforms these numbers. In the Republican race for president, Trump leads Florida Governor Ron DeSantis by 29.
Look at this, man. Let me let it.
Chris Christie got 5%, bro.
Yeah.
What? Dude, I'm shocked by that. Dude, I am shocked. My conscience is shocked by Chris Christie.
Well, he's getting a lot of free media again because he is a media plant. He is a media plant. So just based off him being a media plant, he went from 1% to 4 percentage points up just because he's bringing them on. And that 5% are I think he's tapping into that 31%. He's just getting a slightly larger, the slightly larger, but he's never going to break double digits. None of these clowns are ever going to break double digits.
I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I am fucking shocked. I'm in shambles that Chris Christie got 5%. Well, let's continue.
He's got 51. DeSantis, the only other candidate in double digits with 22. This is actually nearly a doubling of what the margin was in April. Trump was under 50. It was 15 percentage points. And in a head-to-head matchup in a Republican primary, Trump almost has a 2-to-1 lead here, 60% to 36. So again, 49% say they don't want Trump to lead the party, and yet he's overperforming that number. There are never Trumpers voting for Trump over DeSantis. By the way, the DeSantis voter profile there doesn't match the campaign he's running, for what it's worth. Meanwhile,
wait, they say the DeSantis vote. This is the DeSantis voter. I guess they're saying is persuadable, is independent, women without college degrees, voters 65 plus, swing state voters, and somewhat disapproval of Biden. Go ahead,
CJ. There's a giant disappointment from the media because they expected there would be the giant DeSantis versus Trump camp, right? But that's not the reality. Like, there was this infamous Fox segment where this guy went down and like, you like DeSantis? Like, yeah, you support Trump. What? And you trying to set them up to say, you like Ron DeSantis? Yeah, I think he's a great government. Who do you support, Trump? Like, and that's the thing. They think it's either or for these people. A lot of people like DeSantis, but they like Trump more. And this lack of this lack of clash that didn't happen is kind of disappointing to the media and the liberal establishment, like Chuck Todd. And I can kind of tell from the voice. But anyway, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, it's a lot of disappointment because it almost feels, and you can see this in Joe Scarborough a lot. It almost feels like they are sorely disappointed that DeSantis is not rising. Like they are disappointed. And the thing is, Nick, DeSantis in a lot of ways will be worse than Trump, and they're disappointed in that. That tells you this is nothing about policy. That tells you this is not about policy. They simply don't want Trump there because he's outside of the bounds of the military and industrial complex just publicly. Now, he's going to go along with him, but he's talking against Ukraine. He can't have that because public sentiment will go down about it. He's talking against certain things and talking about imperialism, not covertly. He's saying, y'all need to divvy up some money for this NATO thing. We're paying for everything. That's not what they want you to say as a president. So he is breaking the veneer of being, pretending not to be an imperialist. He's just saying, we're an imperialist. Yeah, we are. And what's the problem? That's how he is, and they don't want that. So let's continue. It's almost done.
Meanwhile, the groups where Trump does lag behind DeSantis in that matchup against Joe Biden do offer another warning sign for Trump and the Republican Party if he is the nominee, because they represent the most of the persuadable electorate. They're independent. They're women without college degrees, voters over 65, swing state voters, and voters who say they only somewhat disapprove of Joe Biden's presidency. So like the soccer moms and office park dads of past cycles, this cycle's key swing voter may be these somewhat disapprovers because they were huge in the 2022 midterms. And right now they're picking Biden over Trump.
Now, let's pause here and I'll bring the video down after I make this point. This is who the Democrats go after instead of going after their constituency. Instead of trying to pull in more Black and Latino votes by offering something to them, they go after, what did he just say? Soccer moms and whatever he referred to as dad. Persuadable, independent, women without college degrees, over 65 in swing states. Who is that describing but white women? Who is that describing but white women? And that's who they target every single time. And that white suburban female vote, as you always say, Nick, they overwhelmingly go for Donald Trump, Nick. White women are the one who's putting him in office, Nick. That's who's doing it. And that's who the Democrats go after to try to break that loose. And it's just simply not going to happen. And it continues. Now, continuing along the panic mode, let's now go to, I want to bring up the Latino vote first. But actually, can you tell us what this article is about? I don't know if you were going to bring this up later.
They're just showing some more desperation. This is just funny to read real quick. I saw this while I was doing my daily read. And it's a desperation article by Michael Tomasky. And he said, Democrats, wake the hell up. President Biden has amassed a historic record in his first term. Why aren't he and his party bragging about it? They're not bragging about it because they know it's bullshit. They are unfortunately trying to, but there's a sense of shame, and that's why I can't wait till this shit really get closer to election when you guys see AOC do the stump speech. Because remember the shame that was on Rashida Tlaib's face when a fucking right-wing broadcaster like, hey, Rashida, aren't you betraying young people by supporting Biden, and the shame she had on her face that she was forced to walk away? and that's what's gonna happen.
That was glorious.
You're gonna have Bernie Sanders that are gonna be forced to explain why he supports Jim Crow Joe over his good friend Dr. Cornel West. So this is gonna be very interesting to see over the next few.
I wonder what Burn Identity on Twitter is gonna do about that. Because when Bernie endorsed Joe Biden, she took 2 days off of Twitter. Yeah, she literally tweeted it out. I was like, "I'm gone. I'm not gonna say that, guys." I wonder what she's gonna do when that actually comes up. That's gonna be a sight to see. For those that don't know who Burn Identity,
it's an inside joke. Wait, if you're still on that Bernie bandwagon right now, Ooh, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough this next year.
It's gonna be tough.
Man,
All right, so
a
next,
few people go ahead. No, go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say part of the full panic mode, and voters are just like leaving Biden, the Democratic Party. Dems are losing Latinos in Grove. So let's listen again. A bunch of case study QB clips. Shout out case study QB. I think he's on vacation. Have a good vacation, sir. Let's listen.
Now, analysts say Democrats need to do even more if they want to win the 2024 election. The Cook Political Report highlights a study that analyzes Latino voter trends in key battleground states. Amy Walter writes, quote, "It paints a worrisome picture for Democrats who may be hoping that increased Latino turnout in 2024 will cement their gains in key battleground states. For years, the working assumption among many campaign professionals was that Latino voters stayed home in midterm elections, but showed up in presidential elections. As such, a district or county with a significant Latino population would perform much better for Democrats in a presidential year than a midterm. But Republican candidates can make significant inroads with these voters, especially if they put a full court persuasion press on them, while Democrats only engage these voters at the very end of the campaign." Joining us now, Communications Director of the Libre Initiative, a national advocacy group for Latino Americans, Wadi Gaitan. Thank you so much for being on. So what is the state of Latino support for Democrats? Are Democrats losing Latino voters?
Yes, they definitely are. I mean, the reality
Wow.
is I think many Democrats thought that voting demographic was baked in their favor. And what we're seeing is actually that more Latinos are actually identifying as independent, as swing voters. They're really willing to hear from both parties. It's important for Democrats to understand that this is a loss in the sense that before they could sort of count at these voters and these universes as sort of a get out the vote demographic, that towards the end of the election, they could just make that call and they would show up. But the reality is that is not the case. They're going to have to court the vote and they're going to have to work hard for it.
You know what's coming out more and more, Nick, is that just like what do we call virtue signaling? That's just not working. I mean, we're an example of that. Like they're trying to get us to go with Marianne was like, no, man, no more of this virtue signaling and you just saying stuff and we're gonna hop on board. But and you seeing that in the numbers with the Latino community, they're like, nah, man, you need to bring something material or you're not getting my vote. And I'm just gonna go. Like, what's the difference? Like, I'm not saying go to the Republicans, but from their point of view, a person like that is saying you're not delivering nothing on me. Yeah, Republicans might be against immigration, but are they going to deliver something else for me? Because y'all not doing anything. Why not try? Like just think about it. Like, what do I have to lose? I'm getting literally nothing from you. Literally nothing. If I go over here, if I get nothing from them, what do I lose? At least I'm going to try. Like, that's the perspective. Go ahead.
I'll show you guys this poll that this story was written about an hour or so ago. Trump tops Biden for the first time in morning consult poll. So this is not good because I explained before, you're going to need to be winning these polls by 4 or 5 points to deal with the Electoral College. They're down by 3. And the election hasn't really started yet. And see the ton of panic. Here's the graph here. It says President Trump took a 3-point lead over Biden in the hypothetical head-to-head matchup. This is why the sheepdogs are important. Sorry to be rude again. But this is why people like Marianne and potentially RFK challenging Biden is good for Democrats. Because when they lose, they're going to need their endorsements to help push them over the line. And we don't want to participate in that, which is why we don't think it's wise to support people running Democrats. Because they're going to really need that. But Trump is up in the morning consult poll. This is devastating for the Democratic Party. And also, this is a few days late, but I wanted to have a chance to explain why this is extremely important. I saw Do Distance. They did a great video on this a few days ago. You realize that Dr. Cornel West is already at 6%?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you guys know how ridiculously crazy that is? But before the election really starts, he already at the point where you need to get federal funding at 5%. What does science tell us? What do revolutionary science tell us? Revolutionary science tells us we only need around 5 to 15% of an engaged population to really start revolutionary change. So we actually get an engaged third party that's actually floating around 5 to 15%. That's real. I think these numbers still really loose, but once this really get closer solidified, do you guys understand what kind of threat this is? Which is why being CJ and RBN, we said from the beginning, why are we fucking around with Democrat candidates? Why not start running the score up here now instead of chasing a fantasy land where you're going to win a primary where you're not allowed to debate? One thing I actually find it pretty impressive. I just tweeted. I actually find it impressive how much RFK is living rent free in the head of many of the liberals.
Yeah.
I actually give him more credit than I really did in terms of how much he'll make them people sweat. But I'm telling you guys, we need a movement to start from the beginning to run the score up. And I'm very terrified because I've already seen some hints that the only thing going to happen, you're going to big bill coalition, you're going to kill it by endorsing the Democratic nominee, and you're not going to ship people there, right? Despite all the praise or all the good things that he's been doing recently. But the combination of this, I want to show you this one. I'll just run through some quick headlines as we wrap this part of the story up. You already have panic because you know what, the last person who hit over 5%, Joe Stein hit 7% at one point in the 2016 election. And then that's when they ran the intense McCarthyite smearing of Joe Stein. And they ran an intense anti-third party propaganda machine. I remember going through this as a Green Party voter in 2016. It was intense after they started 7%. So I'm showing you this. I'm telling you guys this because it is possible to lose this momentum. You cannot allow these duopoly leftists, duopoly anti-establishment fighters to pull you back in because that happened before. But Joe Stein did not have the name recognition as Cornel West. Last time I checked, Joe Stein didn't have very popular rappers endorsing her like Dr. Cornel West, which was always the theory of third-party activism. We only had someone who had a great established name from the beginning. What could we possibly accomplish? And that's why there's a lot of excitement over Dr. Cornel West. And now you see all the late bandwagon dropping the board. All the people who try to support Marianne Williams in the beginning, now they doing roundtables and panels like, oh, it's so exciting. Fuck up. Y'all was talking about Marianne Williams. And y'all had to wait till RB and leave
that shit is so funny, yeah.
Remember, they was like, no, you should run as a Democrat. You should run as a Democrat. Now they saw the legitimate excitement from Dr. Cornel West's campaign. And now they're like, oh my God, this is actually a good idea. You guys just said. Anyway, I'm not gonna.
This is so PMC to let the worker do the work, and then when it starts to pay off, i.e., Chris Smalls, you saw this with Chris Smalls, and then when it comes, this is great, like with AOC with Chris Smalls, that's what they do. Go ahead.
Let me actually read the headline. I didn't read the headline yet.
Go ahead.
But you gotta see the panic. Joe Stein enlisted to help build Dr. Cornel West's third-party presidential campaign. Now I'm gonna take a risk here because I got a tip from a very good source. Apparently, Howie Hawkins is dead on arrival.
Oh my God! Please let that be true. Please let it be true.
So I'm gonna say this right now. I got a source. We got sources in the Green Party that's saying that Howie Hawkins is not running again. And now you got Joe Stein working with Dr. Cornel West. And we came out a week or so ago before the rumors came out where he's going to run again, where we was like, Green Party, hell no. You can have your democratic process. We literally telling you guys, if you have the support for him in terms of people power, if your people power goes to him, that means your party is dead to us. So we wasn't trying to strong. Like if that's where you want to go, you're dead to us. So I'm glad that we was able to influence, and there are a lot of people that were concerned over the Green Party because of their support of Howie Hawkins. But I was imploring many of these people that is not representative of the party. We have many leaders on the Green Party that came out literally publicly on our channel and said we don't fuck with Howie Hawkins. And I think he felt the pressure, not just us, but everyone who's been organizing, who had enough of this pro-war infiltrating scumbag. So we see that too. I got a few sources received. I don't know if he changed his mind. But I have a few sources within the Green Party that say he's withdrawing his campaign. So,
I mean, he has no chance against Cornel West. Literally no chance. Like, I don't care. People who have been Green Party for 30 years and may think that Cornel West is just coming in to usurp the Green Party. There's no way, Nick, especially with the ability of Cornel West to bring more people to the Green Party, you know what I'm saying, who weren't even in politics or who was a Democrat or Republican, because I would love to be side with him when he's going through Trump country. Like, I would love to raise money and be out like, you know, with a mic, like talking to them. What do you think about Cornel West? What do you think about what he's saying to, like,
you may do that one day,
you know,
you never know, man.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would love to do that. Go ahead, Nick, if you had any more ahead.
That's nostalgia for me, because I was in Trump country, guys. South Carolina for 7 weeks talking to these people. They're very reachable, way more easier to reach than liberals, believe it or not. But anyway, this is some more code. I think that's the last we still want to read. But yeah, I think that's
I got a couple of,
I think that's it. And then after this, I have just 2 short stories that we can cover, and I think we good on time. And by the time we get done with those, we'll be near the end. I don't know if you have a story after this, but go ahead, CJ, if you want to.
No, I just got more of this panic mode. It's not in the.
Yeah, go ahead. We can continue. Go ahead. We can
the same realm, but it's not exactly. Now I'm going into more of them talking about third party in this panic mode. So we're still talking about corporate media is in a panic mode, but now let's zero in on some of the things. We talked about the polling that they're panicking about, and you add that to third parties, and there's a couple of clips I want to show you that talking about talking about third parties and Joe Biden. So let's listen. This is a short one, 1 minute long.
RFK Jr. running as a vaccine-denying Democrat, and Cornel West, with the help of Jill Stein, remember her, running as the Green Party candidate. And to that political Star Wars bar walks No Labels, a self-described centrist organization founded in 2010 to fight rising political polarization. They are now looking to mount a third-party presidential bid in 2024, claiming that polls show that the public is ready for a middle-of-the-road political alternative to the 2 major parties.
Clown shit. Let's finish. I'll let finish.
And they're both bolstering this quest by trying to raise at least $70 million with the goal of hosting a convention in Dallas next April. No Labels and their robust third-party push comes from some folks that you've definitely heard of before, and some who have had their own experience with defeat being snatched from the jaws of victory. RFK Jr.
Now, No Labels, because they are willing, I think they're willing to take corporate money. Are they? Yeah, I think they're willing to take corporate money. That's one of the third parties they talk about a lot, along with Cornel West. That one does put fear in them, the third party. Now, there's another third. Now, listen to this right here. Now we're going to go down memory lane of so-called third-party spoilers, and this was done on Fox News. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say this, and I'll quickly pass to you. You guys see the trick that they're pulling. They really think the proletariat is dumb as fuck.
They do.
Do because they see the polls that we report on. Remember the poll we showed you that 50% of registered voters are independent for the first time. That 40% of voters are ready to vote for a third party. They see that vote. They see that poll. They're like, all right, let's shift this in a more suitable opposition. So that's why they created this centrist third party. Out all these years and decades, Washington has been broken according to their narrative, right? We argue that they work perfectly together, but let's go by their narrative. Their narrative is that bipartisanship is dead, Washington is broken, there's so much polarization. When was that not true? But they started now because they know more people are ready for third party. So if they can even siphon, they know it's not going to work, CJ, right? They know it's not going to work. But if they can siphon 2 or 3% of people who will vote third party into this bullshit, waste of fucking time party, psyop successful. Like when they talking about running Mitt Romney and
Joe Manchin.
And Joe Manchin was Joe Manchin rumored. When they talk
the
about
hell out of here,
I'm like, that you're not serious about winning. There's a plan here. You hear the trick of like third party voters. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'll let you continue, CJ. You guys give up.
Yeah. So this clip takes us through the history, supposedly, of third party spoilers. That's why I put it in quotes, because we don't see it that way. But let's listen to what they say. It's 2 short clips. Let's listen.
And there's historical precedent for a third candidate causing maybe even more than embarrassment in the primaries. but in some estimation, affecting the outcome. Let's go off the wall again and can look at the history. We'll start in 2016. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. You had two outside candidates staying in the.
I got to stop it here because I haven't seen the actual numbers of Gary Johnson put on the screen. Because when Democrats talk about Jill Stein, they never they never say anything about Gary Johnson. Now, look how many votes he got. So if she took 1.5 million votes from supposedly from Hillary Clinton, he took more than twice of that from Donald Trump. So it doesn't that even the playing field? By their theory, he has 3 million more votes, Nick. So if the same logic, if we were to apply, all of Jill Stein's votes go to Democrats, all of Gary Johnson's votes go to Donald Trump. And like you said, he wins. Donald Trump wins by a larger margin, So it's just, they're trying to sell the worker on some nonsense. And we're here to say, we're here to break it down and say, no. Just because we don't have college degrees don't mean we can't run circles around your ridiculous logic. Let's continue.
In the race until late, you had Libertarian Gary Johnson, the former governor of New Mexico, and Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love doing Off the Wall. Sometimes we're reminded of things that forgot about their two candidacies. Presumably, he would have maybe taken more from Donald Trump as a Libertarian, the Green Party candidate, maybe a little bit more from Hillary Clinton. But when you look at the actual numbers, the reason Jill Stein's vote is so significant is the percentage of vote that she got in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Jill Stein, Green Party candidate, was higher than the margin of victory for Donald Trump. So let's say Stein voters go to Clinton, those outcomes could be different.
Yeah, and a lot of this is analysis and guesswork from the supposed experts. It's true that while Jill Stein's level of vote exceeded the margin of error, there are others that say, yeah, but a Jill Stein voter was going to stay home. As though if she were not in it, they would have voted for Hillary Clinton. No.
And this is the reason why we have to bring up Fox News clips. Because there's those, you guys are secret right wingers. You always bring, because Fox News, they don't have a dog in the fight in the Democratic primary, so they'll be more honest about the Democratic primary. And the same thing maybe for a liberal channel as far as the Republican primary. So you see, you go to CNN, they always want to talk about all the candidates that's running against Trump. You go to Fox, they always want to talk about all the candidates that's running against Joe Biden, and that's why we're using this clip, because in no liberal media do they acknowledge this point that he just said, that, well, Jill Stein voters wouldn't necessarily just go to Hillary Clinton. So to that point, I'll let it finish out, and then there's a second part to this clip.
Many say they wouldn't have become Democrats. They were Green Party voters for Jill Stein.
That's right. Nothing is clear cut. Exit polls showed that a lot of Stein voters would stay home, which is why it's impossible to project how in 2024.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you guys know I'm not playing about Fox News, but why do Fox News got to be the people that rational to say that exit polling show that we wouldn't vote for them? But it treat like established dogma among liberal journalists that Joe Stein cost Hillary Clinton the election. They still race tweet at her to this day. You cost Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Anyway, look.
You saw that with the Joy-Ann Reid. She said, Jill Stein, remember her? Like, that was the nod to say, remember her, how she messed things up?
Candidacy or a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. candidacy, where does it cut? Who stays home? Enthusiasm really does matter.
Yeah, let's go to another election where we had these third-party candidates believed to play a crucial role. We can go back to 2000. You remember, it came down to Florida, and it came down to less than 600 votes, 36 days, and a fight there in Florida that was ultimately settled by the Supreme Court. But in that situation as well, Pete, we had a Green Party candidate.
Now, we're going to continue this clip. Now, keep in mind, remember what Bernie Sanders says. He doesn't want to end up like a Ralph Nader. And Ralph Nader was vilified after this election because he had 2.9 million votes. Now, imagine that, Nick, to act like the person. This is to act like the person who is getting the least amount of votes cost you an election instead of you being a terrible candidate or a terrible party. But let's listen as it continues.
We had a Green Party.
I remember this guy. I mean, it was a big name at the time. Ralph Nader, Green Party candidate. Imagine that. There was a Green Party candidate running against Al Gore, Mr. Green.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. That's pretty ironic considering what he went on to do. The reason that's also significant is Nader garnered 100,000 votes in Florida. So if that's the margin, and this guy gets 100,000, he's also ran. Does that determine who was the president on 9/11? You know, it could have been Al Gore, not George Bush.
And then perhaps most famously, when it comes to third-party candidates, we can go back to 1992.
I'll say this real quick before they move on from Ralph Nader. Isn't it funny that the liberals, they hate Ralph Nader to this day?
Yeah, they
because
do.
we gave him George Bush, but now they love George W. Bush now. They hate Ralph Nader, love George W. Bush.
Yeah, just think about the person that they hated who got the other person who you didn't want elected. Now you're all hugged up with him, Michelle Obama. Now you're taking
George W. Bush giving COVID messages. You guys seen that commercial with Barack Obama, Bill Clinton,
Ridiculous.
George W. Bush? You over here giving this fucking guy who's responsible for genocide, millions of graves, is telling you to get your COVID vaccination. But they hate Ralph Nader though, who gave us that guy who doing a commercial for you.
Billionaire Ross Perot entered the race, dropped out of the race, then came back into the race, and ultimately ended up getting 19% of the vote. And most people believe that Ross Perot's vote tally pulled from George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, I mean, it's certifiable when you look at people. I mean, he was a populist, a billionaire, a blunt talker. I mean, Bill Clinton won with 43% of the vote. I mean, underwater on that victory. 19% changes the entire campaign. You talk to people inside the H.W. Bush camp to this day, or even Clinton folks, they acknowledge Clinton's not in the White House without Ross Perot.
Yeah, they believe that to be the case. There are others, again, back to the alchemy that is political polling, that suggest if you just polled them 1-to-1, H.W. Bush against Bill Clinton, it would have turned out the same way. It's always hard to know exactly the effect of a third-party candidate. But I think it is fair to say, in this case, we're talking about in a primary, not a general election. And therefore, it's fair to say Robert F. Kennedy could cause, at a minimum, embarrassment for Joe Biden.
It's also worth noting that Democrats are most concerned about a third-party candidate. Just generally speaking, when you look at the news, that it hurts Joe Biden because there's such a lack of enthusiasm for him, even amongst his base and the general public, that people might stay home or switch otherwise. By the way, I looked it up, a famous quote from Ross Perot, and this is kind of why people liked him. If you see a snake, just kill it. Don't appoint a committee on snakes.
We had a Green Party.
Remember this?
That's kind of funny, but that was. I got one more clip for you on this, and then we can move on from this. Now, so we talked about the history of spoilers. I think it's one more clip. We talked about history of spoilers, and then we talked about the polling number. The other thing, and it's this clip right here, Joe Biden is likely will lose New Hampshire and Iowa. And Chris Sununu, I think that's how you say his name. He is the governor of, or is he the former? Yeah, no, he's the current governor of New Hampshire, and they brought him on to, I guess they thought he was going to bow down about, but bow down as far as, we're running a primary. Maybe she was trying to get him to not run the primary so it doesn't be an embarrassment for Joe Biden when he loses. But let's listen to what he says, his reaction to what she asked.
The DNC Democrats of Joe Biden has said that he's not going to campaign there, and so he won't see that as legit. I mean, would you effectively?
Look, New Hampshire's a place where it doesn't matter if you have name ID or money. You come, you earn it on the campaign trail.
Wouldn't it kind of be a sham primary?
No, it just means they wouldn't sit our delegates. Doesn't matter. The value you get. Look, RFK Jr., right, who's a pretty interesting character to say the least. I've sat with him. He seems like a nice guy. He's already polling at 25-30% in certain polls in New Hampshire, and he's barely even started. So I think
25-30%. 25-30% in New Hampshire, that's a win. That means he's going to win. I mean, that's an indication he's on a trajectory, I should say, to win that state. Now, I do want to rewind it so you can see her reaction here when he says, because she tries to throw him off about the primary. Well, why have a primary or something along those lines. And he's like, well, no, they just won't seat our delegates. Not a big deal, which is not a big deal because he can, there's not a lot of delegates. But let's listen.
No, it just means they wouldn't sit our delegates. Doesn't matter. The value you get.
He doesn't like that answer.
RFK Jr., right? Who's a, you know, pretty interesting character to say the least. I've sat with him. He seems like a nice guy. He's already polling at 25-30% in certain polls in New Hampshire, and he's barely even started. So I think a lot of folks are realizing, wait a minute, I can use New Hampshire as a launching ground to challenge a sitting Democrat president that most Democrats don't think should run for a second term anyway. So I just think it's an open door. We're going to have ours first, whether they like it or not. Don't even know if the South Carolina primary is going to happen. They didn't hold one for Trump when he was an incumbent. Probably won't hold one for Biden. So there's just going to be a lot of political momentum behind whoever wants to challenge the current president through New Hampshire.
Can you imagine that he loses New Hampshire, he loses Ohio, and then South Carolina doesn't even hold a primary? You know how terrible that would look for Joe Biden? And this is why, actually, there's one more, Steve. There's this billionaire. For some reason, they always lean into billionaires. Here goes Steve Forbes. He doesn't think Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. And I'm not sure Joe Biden is going to be the nominee either. But let's listen to this billionaire.
You don't think Joe Biden is going to be the candidate?
No, I don't.
I don't think so either. And for a year, I've been saying there's not a shot in hell that Joe Biden runs, just from watching him every day.
Well, the word salad, right? I mean, he can't express himself in a coherent manner, right?
So but the Democrats are not allowing any debate. So something's got to give.
It's starting to give already. Robert Kennedy Jr. is now a credible candidate. He could win in New Hampshire. He could win in Iowa. He's going to play the role that Gene McCarthy did back in 1968, an obscure Minnesota senator, ran against an incumbent President Lyndon Johnson, did well in the New Hampshire primary, and knocked him out of the race. I don't think Biden's going to let it go to that. He'll be out before that happens. But Robert Kennedy's the agent of those who want to have a change at the top of the ticket.
You think it's going to be Robert Kennedy?
No, I don't think he'll be the nominee, but I think he'll be the battering ram that helps knock Joe Biden out of the race.
So who's the nominee?
Well, you have a governor in California who's drooling for the job. They have to give him bids now. He's ready to run, and they're probably looking at the field now. They want to do in 2024 what they did in 2020 when they handpicked Joe Biden, who was finishing 4th or 5th in those primaries in early contests. They in fact shoehorned him in. They hope to do it with somebody else, whether it's with Gavin Newsom or somebody else. It won't be Joe Biden.
That's what they did with Hillary, too, in 2016. Don't forget that.
Yes.
They shoehorned her.
He actually saved his analysis at the end there. We let finish. It's almost done. We let finish.
Well, and they shooed her into the Senate, if you recall, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When Moynihan retired, they just handed it off to Ms. Clinton.
Now, that old guy is...
Steve Forbes. That's the guy. That's right. Forbes magazine. Yeah, go ahead.
He actually right in a way, because he actually explains at the end where the Democrats can just choose, like if they want to be Gavin Newsom. And the people you see say that Gavin Newsom could be a potential candidate for president. These are the people who know the system is rigged. And this is the argument that we made. We made the argument that capital determines the people who win in these fake little popularity contests that you guys have, that you guys think is democracy. And that's shown by the numbers. Numbers show that 97% of the time you can predict the election based on who raises the most money. Capitalists pick who runs our government. So this guy accurately points out, saying the quiet part out loud, and I guess they're comfortable enough in his audience to do that, where they say, well, yeah, if the capitalist class wanted Gavin Newsom to be the president, he's going to be the fucking president. That's why, even though we may chuckle and roll our eyes, like, who the fuck like Gavin Newsom? He understands that it doesn't matter if we fucking like him. Look, we got Kamala Harris as vice president. No one fucking liked her. She's vice president.
That's a great point that you make, is that, and this is Steve Forbes. Now, this is the oligarch. So when we're talking about we're on ruling class, this is the guy who's on the top. So we're talking about Bill Gates. We're talking about Bloomberg. You're talking about people like Steve Forbes. So listen to what he's saying. Like, they're going to shoehorn them in. Does that sound like democracy? I never saw a democracy where it says shoehorning somebody in was part of democracy, because they know that is what they can do. And that's what they did with Joe Biden. He made another point. Joe Biden was at number 4 and he magically won. Number 4 and he magically won. So is it that far-fetched that a Gavin Newsom couldn't be shoehorned in? And remember, he recently went on Sean Hannity. Trying to look presidential. And I think there's so many people. I think maybe the Michigan governor they're salivating, waiting. Is Joe Biden? Is he not? And they're gonna throw their hat into the ring because literally this is a wide open race. Because what are they thinking? Man, if I had a softer candidate in the world to run against, is Donald Trump. So they're salivating to get into this race and replacing Joe Biden. And do you think, Nick? And this was my last question before we close this. Do you think Steve Jobs is right? Do you think that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee? Or what is your, I'm not asking you to predict, but like, what is your feeling about it? Go ahead.
I said before, the only way that Joe Biden not nominated is this motherfucker's dead. Like they're gonna put as many stories as possible because he's more likely to win. They don't want to have Kamala on the front ticket. They don't even want Pete Buttigieg to be there as well. So I literally predicted this years ago. I think this is gonna hold up. I think Biden's gonna be the candidate. The only way he's not a candidate if he's literally physically cannot do it, like if he's a crip walker. Like this motherfucker gotta be dead there for the. Like if he's like even if he's halfway alive, they will just drug him up. They'll have PR spokesman for him. He will never do a press conference. They're always planning not to have debates. The one debate he had with Donald Trump, they're gonna have him on every single steroid known to human demand. So that's my prediction. We see if I'm correct. I think that would be a bad move. I think people are probably getting too hyped when they say Biden won't be the candidate. They're gonna use him to win because they've been proven that he can beat Trump. Whether he's gonna do it again, we don't know. But they've been proving he can beat Trump, so they're gonna use him to beat Trump. And then after that, get rid of the motherfucker. Kamala. Oh yeah, by the way, Joe Biden's sick. 2025. Joe Biden's sick. We got Kamala Harris as president. Damn, who could have seen this coming? That's gonna happen. If they win, at least. And
Nikki Haley is correct.
One more thing I would say in terms of the rigged elections, because Americans always want to brag over their democracy over other countries because they think it's special because they got term limits. They're like, oh my God, Xi Jinping has been leader for 10 plus years. Vladimir Putin, 12 years. We are more democratic than them because we got term limits. And my question, I want you guys to decolonize your mind. What good is these term limits when the capitalists got the seat bought? The capitalists own the executive branch. The capitalists own California District 1, California District 2, Missouri District 1, Louisiana District 2. They own all the districts. So of course they make term limits to give you illusion that shit is changing. They're like, all right, swap out him for another capitalist sympathizer. Get another one of our workers here. Okay, just a thought I want you guys to think about. Like, this democracy is not as great as they told us growing up. And it's literally still cringe when I see people pretend otherwise. CJ, we need some super chats. And also we need super chats. And my stories, none of my stories are long. I just got quick stories. I may not get into all of them because I got Nick and Night tomorrow. Just let me know how you're doing. I literally just got.
I'm good. Anytime. Yeah. We can do something.
I'll read super chats first.
I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead.
I'll read super chats first, and then you can do an announcement that give me a chance to set the story up.
Absolutely.
So thank you for the 499 illustrative carp. Joe Biden's in the 10% range, if you ask me. Thank you for super chat. Not sure exactly when you sent that, but thank you for that. Then James Starks, big shout out to him for 2 super stickers. Thank you for the $7, James. Thank you for $11.99, Marcus. Let's see how long it takes until someone who wants 5 minutes of fame and has nothing to lose draws a practical conclusion from the reactions to the submarine. Not suggesting anything, just eating popcorn. Thank you for that comment, Marcus, as well. Big shout out to Biden with their consistent super sticker. Thank you for that. Another one from Kushernada. Thank you for $5. Green Party in North Carolina. We all are excited about West. Howie is past tense. That's why I'm like, bro, I know Green members. Like, if Howie would have won the nomination, something is fucking up. This party deserves to burn. Because no one fucking like Howie except like the people on the inside, like him and his insider friends. I'm not gonna speak too much outside my mouth, but bro, I'll just say John moved publicly about it. I'm not gonna say any names of people not public about it, but I'm telling you, there's a giant faction of the Green Party that acknowledge that Howie Hawkins did a tremendous amount of damage to their brand. And a lot of them feel betrayed because they gave him benefit of the doubt. And John was playing this. I endorsed the motherfucker, and then he turned out to be trash, man. And those are the people we had the most funk for, right? Thank you for the super sticker, the lemon, 8787. Thank you for that, and thank you for the $5, Janice. Cross-party voters, Dem to rep, caused Dem losses. In 2008, got around 56,000 votes, but over 250,000 registered Dems voted for Bush directly. Exactly. Another point. You don't see a lot of people bring up. Actually, I don't bring that up enough. So that's actually a good point, Janice. So our brother CJ is going through a lot as well. So CJ, I'm gonna give you opportunity to shout out any mutual aid because we need help our brother CJ. I went through some housing issues, and I'm gonna pass CJ so you can promote this community request we have for you guys.
Absolutely.
So while you do, I'm gonna get my story ready. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's part of a bunch of announcements, so it's not just this announcement. But let me start not with this, but because I do want to announce this. I'm so happy to announce we're gonna have. Let me take this off here. We're going to have Garland Nixon and Lee Camp at the same time on the same interview on the Nick and CJ show this upcoming Thursday. Upcoming Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in. We'll set up the stream and send it out on our Substack so you get it a few days earlier. But this is coming this Thursday. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, everything from U.S. hegemony to Ukraine to China to Russia. We'll be talking about a bunch of things, mostly foreign policy, but they're also good on current stuff. So we probably dabble in just the 2024 election. So make sure you check that out this Thursday. And then to what Nick was saying, I shouted this out yesterday, but I got a fundraiser going on. Just launched it officially today. Basically, I got kicked out of my place, asked to leave because I was in my place for several years. The lease was coming up, or the lease was up, and they wanted me to sign a new lease, but I was on day 9 of no water in my apartment, and I have 2 kids, so had no water in my apartment, wasn't able to take showers, brush teeth. I had to drive over to my mom's house just every day for over a week just to do that. Just to do that. And it was crazy because they would send a plumber out, and the plumber showed up with no tools, Nick. I'm like, what the hell? What are you going to do? Like, I'll just do some things outside. Never fixed. Plumber showed up 3 times, never fixed anything. And I thought there must be something big that's wrong with this, and they don't want to spend any money. So they're just having this plumber come out and do things. So hot water had dirt coming out, Nick. Somehow they got dirt in the line. Now it's just clogging it up. Got dirt in the cold water. No hot water at all. So either I'm using dirty cold water with literal dirt. It's pictures. You can see the dirt in the sink or in the bathtub. So went through more than a week of that, and I just said, you got to be out your freaking mind if you think I'm signing another lease and this stuff is not even fixed. And they said, okay, well, time for you to go. And so I had to abruptly leave. This was not planned at all. Like, I had to abruptly get out of my place. And now trying to find a new place in California, the rent is too damn high. And you think I'm telling you, California rent ain't no joke out here. So, it's not no joke. So we're currently raising some money for that. I gave you the long spiel, but currently raising money for that. So if you're able to donate, let me take the scrolling bar off here. If you're able to donate, there's a Cash App, Mutual Aid Forever. Venmo, we got 2 options, Forever Mutual Aid or Mutual Aid Forever on Venmo. We also have a, what is those things called? A GoFundMe. And I will put that link in the description box once I get it. Actually, let me share it right now for those that are watching. Share screen. Here we go. So let me, that's my messages. Let me go to the graphic and show you the GoFundMe. I created this. This is not our normal RBN GoFundMe. So, that is for Aaron. So, if you want to donate for Aaron pay, you can do that on our regular GoFundMe, but I created a special one for this. So let me show you that here, because I don't know the link. So let me get the link from here. Sorry, guys. All right, so here is the GoFundMe technically right here, and let's click on it, and I'm going to bring it up in just a second here. Wow, we're already at $385. That is just awesome, and we just announced it today. Let me put it in the screen to show you. Right here. Now, put this link in the description box, but as you can see, we're at $385. $5 already. Thank you for all of those people that have donated either on Venmo or Cash App or GoFundMe. And Nick, you know how to respond. Somebody quote tweeted this and said, "Look at the grift of this," and I'm like, "This is so anti-grift. How are you calling us grifters when we have to raise money for housing?" That doesn't make you literally have no idea what grifting is, if that's what you think. But again, anybody that can retweet or if you're able to help with any donations, it's all greatly appreciated. I need 7,000, but with family and thing, I was able to come up with 4,000 with family in California, so I appreciate that, all the family members. But we still need about 3,000 to go out, and this is not even going to cover everything, Nick. We probably have to move ourselves. We probably have to move our stuff and not get a U-Haul or something. Like, it's just because this is literally like deposit and first month's rent and all that kind of stuff in the beginning. That's all this is really going to cover for us.
According to scumbag liberals and scumbag left, Bernie Sanders taking money from working class people and betraying them and supporting the military industrial complex. That's not grifting. Working class people trying to get fucking housing over their head is grifting. AOC taking working class money and betraying people. That's okay. That's just standard shit. But working class person trying to make sure that they have just basic standard of living is grifting. It's class war, and that's literally what it is. And that's why I can't stand these people. Now, I have a story that I wanted to get to. I haven't been able to because of housing purposes, but this story is hilarious, and it's kind of revealing of AOC's priorities. So let's start with Adam Schiff, one of the most corrupt Democrats, the biggest spreader of Russiagate, and he's now running for Senate. Adam Schiff was censured by the House for something I think is pretty rational. I think it's pretty rational. Democrats in the media was melting down. Even if you look at the frame of the New York Times, Washington Post, they said House censures Adam Schiff over his role investigating Donald Trump. So you guys want to think? You want to know why I think it's rational? I think it was rational that McCarthy got censured for his McCarthyite witch hunt that he led on Americans, and most historians would agree with you on that. That McCarthy deserved to be censured for what he did in the Red Scare. Adam Schiff did the same thing. You guys know Adam Schiff smeared the president and smeared an American as a Russian traitor. Now, this is don't complain about decorum, but can you imagine how Democrats would react if Republicans trying to smear and impeach a Democrat for being a traitor? What Adam Schiff did was unhinged, and this is why we put back against Russiagate, because Russiagate lead to the conditions which lead to the Ukraine war and us having this extreme xenophobia over Russians, right? So the House censured him because of his role in lying about Russiagate. So in reaction to this, Democrats wasn't happy because they hate seeing their own people accountable. So I'm gonna show you this rowdy scene here. This is when they censured him. Here.
Objection. The motion to consider is laid on the table.
And they just censored. And you see Democrats shouting shame.
I'll wait.
Shame on you! How dare you hold a politician accountable? See, once again, I want to ask you, whenever you guys see story, ask yourself, how does this narrative benefit us? How does this narrative benefit the workers? How does decrying politicians being censured and held accountable, how is that beneficial to us? So in my perspective, I think there should be way more censures. Like they said, they were like, this is only like the 20th person who ever been censured. Nigga, there should be a censuring every fucking week. We doing some fucked up shit. Do you guys think I'm wrong? I think that's in the proletariat's best interest. Right?
There should be a censure every week. Why weren't they censured for breaking a strike? That should have been a censure right there.
Yeah, that's whenever they fund the military industrial complex, whenever there's a corruption scheme, there should be censures all the time. But anyway, I want to get to you Channing's shame here real quick. Let me play the video real quick. So
lame.
And I saw a few corporate media statements for a second. The story, I'm not gonna show you those, but it was like the Republicans are doing political theater and censuring Adam Schiff. This show how they are engaged in grievance politics. This guy literally created a false smear campaign against a president, saying he was a traitor to our country, an agent of Russia. If there's anything that get you censored, that should be it. And then the Russiagate literally led into investigations that wasted, because this is the premise of the conservative argument against him. They said Adam Schiff willingly lied to the American people, thus wasting taxpayer money that was spent on investigations. So this is massive. It's something that you should be disciplined for. Like, he was the chief. Like, when you think about Russiagate, Adam Schiff was the fucking guy. The guy, head of the oversight committee, all these committees that was investigating Russiagate, right? So then you want to see who took it upon herself to make this her struggle. This is her struggle.
Oh no.
This is the struggle of AOC. Is she talking about the expansion of ICE and DHS under Joe Biden, who she endorsed? No. Is she talking about the Willow Project? Is he talking about the fact that Joe Biden took police funds and sent COVID funds to send to the police? No. She's here to defend the honor of Russiagating Adam Schiff. So her response to this was, because Kevin McCarthy is an undeeply serious leader, she says he's a deeply unserious leader. I haven't seen many people in politics use this term before me. I'm just saying.
No, they watch her. Somebody else said that. Somebody said that multiple times. I've seen me. Where there's like, how is she all of a sudden using unserious after all of our critiques of her? Remember the whole we went in on her when she was doing all that stuff with Ryan Graham and the strike breaking and with unserious. You think she ain't seen that shit? And it's the other people too who are now saying unserious.
All these leftists started fucking imitating me, man. I start calling these other people deeply unserious. Also, everyone use that fucking term now. Anyway, AOC says, because he's deeply unserious leader, great term, AOC, wonder who you got it from, who diminishes the House by indulging in stunts like these. So AOC says Kevin McCarthy diminishes the House by holding a Democrat, a politician accountable from wasting taxpayer money. So, you know what diminishes the House? What diminishes the House is when we fund neo-Nazis in Ukraine that you voted for, AOC. Yes. That diminishes the House. Meanwhile, she thinks holding Democrat politicians is what do it. You want to see the priorities of AOC? So now who are we talking about here? Now, I say this part for last for a reason. I'm going to show you the person that AOC is struggling for. This is her struggle defending Adam Schiff. And after you see this video, you're gonna see why he deserved to be censured. Listen to this. Adam Schiff on March 22nd, 2017, claims he has evidence of Trump-Russian collusion. Now, CJ, think about everyone who fought for Russiagate. Think about all the people we looked up to that fell for Russiagate. They are now Russiagators to this day. They are Russiagators because of people like Adam Schiff. Because they see this guy that said, we got documented, classified evidence that Trump colluded with Russia. And these people don't question authority, so then they will use that, and they took that premise and worked backward from the conclusion ever since. And this dude, Adam Schiff, created countless Russiagators. Untold amount of Russiagators came from Adam Schiff because he used to lie, use his government position to lie. Listen.
Howie Long is one of them, and he still kind of repeats some of the stuff that Adam Schiff talks about. I'm sorry, I said Howie Long. I mean Howie Hawkins. Sorry, Howie
Hawkins, Tom Hartman, all these people, they are Russiagators directly because of Adam Schiff. Cenk Uygur, Because they will see this guy, they're like, man, of course he can't be lying. He's an Intel committee ranking member. And so this is why he was censured. He used his position as Intel committee ranking member to manufacture a fake Russia conspiracy against a president. I think that's censure worthy. Now let's see why they did. I think after this video, I think anyone who's not a partisan, bootlicking, politician, loving motherfucker will agree this guy should be censured. Listen to watch this video, the compilation of this guy lies.
But you admit it's all you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So
I'm pausing right here for a reason, because this is what he would do. He would use his position on the Intel committee. He said, I can't say it out loud because it's classified. But he's like, liberal audience, trust me, bro. Trust me. I seen the data. He fucking did it. I can't tell you what it is because it's classified, but trust me, bro. In doing this, propelled him to the point where he can run for Senate and convince many dumb liberals like Tom Hartman, Cenk Uyghurs, and others that Russiagate was real. So let's continue.
Again, I think...
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigation.
Now let's watch him change his story 11 days later.
And the big issue, of course, is whether or not there was collusion among members of the Trump campaign or surrounding the Trump campaign, Trump advisors. Can you say definitively that there was collusion? There were people affiliated with the Trump campaign who were working with Russians to time the release of damaging information about Hillary Clinton that had been hacked either from John Podesta or the DNC?
I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. We are still at the very early stage of the investigation. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. There is more than circumstantial evidence now. There is evidence that is not circumstantial. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. There is more than circumstantial evidence now. There is evidence that is not circumstantial. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. There is more than circumstantial evidence now. There is evidence that is not circumstantial. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point.
And Adam Schiff played a big part of that lie. And you see the tactic he would use?
I think this is expellable. I don't see why this is not expellable. You are part of the Intel community. You are the head. I'm sorry, the chair of the Intel I forget what it's called, the Intel board or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You're the chairman of that, so you know what you're saying is not true.
Yeah.
You literally know what you're saying is not true because you have all these documents that we now see. It makes it untrue. You already had this stuff. You knew the dossier was bullshit, but you had a plan to use your position and be like, listen, I know the secrets. I can't say it, but just trust me, bro. Why this should be expellable to me? Like this is almost. I mean, the censure is good. This is almost a slap on the wrist. Like you should be expelled for this level of lying that you did and the amount of money you wasted on this lie.
Absolutely, CJ. Like once again, I think that's censure 100% reasonable. Getting him out of Congress, I think that's reasonable as well. He smeared the president using his position in government, wasted taxpayer money, and then went on TV shows and lied about seeing evidence that he never seen. Look at another headline. You can find this all day, guys. You can find these. He went on a TV tour for the entire duration of Russiagate, saying that he's seen evidence. And then idiots like Cenk Uyghur like, yo, why would Adam Schiff lie about the evidence he's seen? They said he's seen evidence. So here, look, he's on CNN. Evidence of collusion is clear. Mueller will find out if there's been a crime. Spoiler alert, he did not. Anyway, so
we're about justice, though. We're about justice, truth, and honesty. That's what the American people are about. This is just another illustration, Nick, of how the Democratic Party is actually the worst party. They're worse because they're actually like rolling out the stuff. Like Republicans talk a big game, but they're actually rolling out. They actually rolled out a crime bill. They actually, rolled out Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They actually are increasing the military budget to the highest. They're actually pushing forward towards war with China and Russia. Like, they are executing the things that the Republicans wish they can do. And this is just another example. Imagine, Nick, if a Republican did something on this level. Let's say they lied about something that the Democrats like at this level. They will be talking about impeachment and expelling this guy.
Yeah, they do that about Marjorie Taylor Greene. What did Marjorie Taylor Greene ever say? Jewish space lasers, which I heard that she didn't even say it like that. But they say she said some crazy conspiracy theories, so that's why she should be censored and expelled. But Adam Schiff literally spread a conspiracy theory that was meant to politically harm his opponents and impeach a president. That's not censure worthy. Let's go back to AOC. She's defending that guy.
Yeah.
Is she's defending the interests of the proletariat? No, she's defending a millionaire scumbag, Adam Schiff, who's running for Senate. She believed that looking into this guy, CJ, your opinion is that he should be expelled. You want to see the difference between the CJ left and the AOC left? CJ said he should be expelled. AOC said that investigating him diminishes the House. That's the difference between a CJ leftist and an AOC leftist. As wide as the ocean is vast, when you guys say there's only small differences, as wide as the ocean is vast is the difference between me and AOC, and CJ and AOC, meaning Nina Turner. As vast as it gets, it's a difference between a political party. Might well be completely different parties the way we see life. That you want to even waste any sort of time typing any status, sending any message defending Adam Schiff. That is so far beyond what I will allow in my culture. You can't say you close to me. So what I said,
she quote tweeted this and said, "Censure, damn a censure. Where's expulsion?" Then I'll be okay. She based, but this is just total.
What LC should be saying
garbage. Go ahead.
What she should be saying, which would be based, is why is Republicans wasting their time censoring Adam Schiff over Russiagate? Why not censor him over funding Ukrainian Nazis?
Yes, she can't say that though. But
imagine the alternative reality where AOC was that base. Like, we wouldn't be doing anti-AOC bashing videos. We'd be like, dude, you guys see what AOC said? You know, the same way we do with whenever Lula talking about NATO.
Lula says stuff we'll bring up,
Whenever Mick Wallace talk about Lula. Whenever we talk about Ukraine, we talk about all these other great leftist people, but we can never do that in the United States. Like, we wish we live in a reality where AOC would say something based like that, but it's not real. It's not reality. So we got to tell the truth about it. So I literally have one more quick story. I'm
down for it. I'm down for it. And you guys tell me, how do you actually like this? This is like a makeshift little background.
Yeah, it looks good. I need to get something like that.
I like this black thing. It's just a black little quilt, or what do they call it? Blanket. And I just put it up over the window. So
I'm still working on one.
Anyway, go ahead.
Because I was downstairs, but my internet connection down there shady. I got to fix that. That's why I moved upstairs. Now I got to fix the blinders. He's like, that blinding is annoying. I got to fix that. So there are a few things I got to work on here. But your background, that shit looks nice.
Yeah, I like it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. But go ahead, Nick.
So I'm gonna do two stories. I'm gonna try and relate them. I think they're kind of related. I think I'll tie them together. So this is the follow-up story of the revolt in the quote-unquote Russian coup of Wagner against Putin. That's only shows that Putin and Russia are stronger than we thought. It has neocons in shambles to this day. And they're still bitching and complaining. I saw this video. It's in my watch history. I got to dig it up for you guys one of these days. Where the title of it was literally, I don't know if you saw. I think it was MSNBC. The title of the video was Wagner troops give up on the rebellion. Like, that was so mad. You guys are fucking quitters. Anyway, they're going through the code process right now. And now I'm going to show you guys an example of how neocons will always twist any situation in order to justify more funding for the military-industrial complex. So after the Putin revolt, there's that bolster calls by U.S. defense hawks. So the short-lived mutiny by the Wagner mercenary forces against Russia, President Vladimir Putin, has bolstered the cause of defense hawks pressing for more money in Ukraine. Isn't that convenient? So no matter what happens, they will always twist a story into a way and funding Ukraine more. Like, it gets ridiculous. No matter what fucking happens, this is why we support Ukraine more. The Denver Nuggets won the NBA championship. This is why we give more money to Ukraine. So let me try to explain. Let's see if we can understand the logic of this story here. Right?
What is that headline again? So I can look it up myself. I want to read.
Yeah, my bad.
Let me just tell me the headline. I'll look it up myself and read it later.
So this is funny. Putin revolt bolster calls for U.S. defense. So they saying that, hey, after this Putin revolt, this is the perfect time to send more money to Ukraine. Now, let me tell you, what sense does that make? So what narrative is the Western media spinning right now? The narrative that they're spinning desperately is that Putin has been weakened because of the revolt. That Russia has been exposed as weak and ineffective. The military is in shambles. Putin has lost confidence in the Russian people. If all that was true, why do you need to send more money to Ukraine and win? If that was true, if the Russian military was in shambles, if Putin was exposed as weak, you would be like, hey, you know all that billion we send you? You're good. Putin is weak. You're good. This is them admitting the fact that they are in shambles because the Ukrainian offensive is not going well. It's not going well for them at all. So that's why
I noticed they haven't reported on that, Nick. I noticed because I've been watching it because when I was trying to do that segment, I was trying to find they don't talk about it like they should. Like if they were winning, this be wall-to-wall covered. They don't really talk about, and sometimes they almost make it like it almost hasn't even really started happening. It's like they're trying to downplay it so much, and that's an indication to me, to your point, that this is not going well at all for them, at all.
Yeah, it is not going well for the Ukrainian offense. I'm trying to find the receipt I saw earlier where they were talking about the amount of losses, and they got essentially no gains at all, and they was pressured into this offensive. I covered this before because for months they've been talking about this offensive. Like this offensive narrative started in like December, guys. That when they first started talking about Ukrainian offensive, counteroffensive is coming. Then Ukraine was like, no, we don't got shit planned. In January, Ukrainian counteroffensive is coming. No, we don't got shit coming. We said Ukrainian counteroffensive. All right, goddamn. All right, let's do it. And now because they were rushed and they was pressured into this because there was reporting that Ukraine never had this plan. This counteroffensive was put on them by the West because the West was losing support for Ukraine funding. You have France, Germany, and UK having anti-NATO protests. You have a prominent party that have a leading candidate that's calling for less funding. So the West put the pressure on Ukraine, said that we need to see gains right now in order to justify this war. Hence the counteroffensive, which did not work. So that's why when this Russian coup happened, when the Wagner protests happened, that's why there was so much joy among the establishment because they saw hope in a narrative that they know is dead. Mm-hmm. At this point, they just they're trying to see how long they can last. This shit is over. Like Ukraine stand no chance of winning. And they know that's why they got to hype this up. Now, the other quick story I'm going to relate this to, which is why I think it's important, because we all know why they want to expand this war. They listened to the U.S. defense talks that wanted to spend more money in Ukraine to enrich military-industrial complexes that already made record profits. We covered before that the Pentagon essentially cannot pass an audit. And I'm going to show you guys an example of why they cannot. People cannot even wrap their mind around how corrupt our government is. Like, it doesn't, like, people think our government is kind of corrupt. These motherfuckers are super PACs. These motherfuckers got super PACs that corrupt. Nigga, the super PAC is literally the icing on top of the cake. You just getting started when you talk about super PACs. You want to know why the Pentagon can't pass an audit? The Pentagon has trash cans worth $52,000. What now? I want to see your answer in the chat. What do you guys think a $52,000 trash can should do? Does it have Wi-Fi? Does it purify the toxins of the trash and emit a pleasant smelling odor? Is there a self-cleaning mechanism in the trash can? Explain to me what's a fucking $52,000 trash can. So they explain the sub-headline, with the military spending at record highs, many contractors have hiked the cost of relatively simple items. They get these giant budgets, and they're like, we don't know what the fuck to do with this. We got to watch these fucking funds. We got some money laundering to do. What are we going to do? This desk costs $70,000. Do you guys know why the Pentagon can't pass a budget? But that lady that was talking to Jon Stewart, she's going to fucking gaslight you. Say, you guys don't understand how this works. Right? So I'll just read this. I'll just read these two paragraphs here. I'll read this one. In 2020, the Pentagon paid Boeing over $200,000 for 4 of the trash cans, translating to roughly $51,000 per unit. In a 2021 contract, the company charged $36,000 each for 11 trash containers, resulting in a total cost of more than $400,000. The apparent overcharge cost taxpayers an extra $600,000 between two contracts.
Nick, do we believe that this was an account? Do we believe Boeing is just doing this and the government doesn't know? Dude, is that what people really believe? Like, we've been dealing with this company. Like, somebody don't got eyes and just look at the paper and be like, $52,000 for a trash can? What the hell is it? You get what I'm saying? Are we really to believe this? Or is this the way that they know, hey, we giving you this contract, go ahead and pad it, and we ain't paying for it. This is coming out of taxpayers' money. Or is that more likely what's happening? This is their work. They're patting each other on the back. We give you the contract, overpay, we overprice, charges, 4 trash cans, Nick. 4. For $200,000. That is absurd. Go ahead, Nick.
But a bunch of bootlicking fiscal conservative is worried about the homeless person. You worry about the single mother with food stamps. As the Pentagon is just openly being corrupt, and then as you blame the immigrant, as you blame the single mother on food stamps, they are laughing at your ass every single time. Every single time they say you blame the immigrant for corruption, they don't even know what we're doing. Oh man,
how are they? Because I was on food stamps. They had so many. When you would go into the Social Security office, they had so many signs. If you be corrupt, it's 10 years in prison, 5 years in prison, all this stuff. If you talking about skimming money for food, so you lie on the application so you could get more money to feed your kids, you going to jail, man. You're going to jail, but these people overcharging for trash can $52,000. Nothing. It's a mistake, guys. Sorry, bro. Come on, man.
That going to the double standard, the classist double standard that we talked about before. How remember the Pentagon sent an extra $6 billion to Ukraine, and I'm like, imagine what would happen if you lost $600 at the cash register.
Oh man,
you see how we don't live in meritocracy? It's literally a classic system. But now listen to this part, because not only just the toilet, there's so many examples. Listen to this. If you guys think that these are toilets that cost that fucking money, look at this. Jamaica Barons, a company that distributes parts manufactured by other firms, sold the Department of Defense 13 radio filters that had once cost $350 each. According to this article, they sold the Department of Defense 13 radio filters that once cost $350 each for nearly $49,000.
That's absurd, man. They have no shame. You have no shame. No shame at all.
They know Americans are so busy watching Netflix. They're so busy yelling at gay people, right? They worry about gay people while they just doing this shit. They know they got a BT Wars on yesterday. Niggas don't care about this. Just openly corrupt. There was radio filters that once cost $350 each that they sold for $49,000 per unit.
Ridiculous, man. They're just laughing at us at this point.
I can just laugh because it's so ridiculous. I can only laugh because it's so ridiculous. But they are laughing at us too, as you said, CJ. They laughing at us because you got people fighting over cultural wars as they just openly doing shit like that, openly robbing us, openly doing white collar crime. But you worry about what your neighbor, who he's sleeping with. That's what Americans are worried about. Anyway, that just show the corruption in the Pentagon. Most people have no idea how corrupt our government is.
So, Nick, if you're NATO left and you support, you understand how they can't get. Now, think about Marianne Williamson and all the other NATO left. Oh, I'm for this. You're for this? For trash cans, 200,000, and that money couldn't go to us? You see what I mean? It's so many different layers to be where you should just be anti-war, and a layer of like this where you're being corrupt, but you're still pushing the war machine line. You're still pushing the Ukraine line. NATO left, and I'm going to keep saying this, NATO left is only anti-war in the abstract when it's a past war. That's the only time, never current. They find reasons why the current war is somehow different than everything else. They did this with the Persian Gulf War. They did this with, what was this last one? Oh, the Ukraine War. Go ahead.
Yep. I just read the super chat I saw come in, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have I gotta reach out. I don't know if we still doing. I think we got Dr. Cornel West tomorrow.
Reach out. Yeah,
I gotta reach out. Make sure we're still doing that. And then we have Garland Nixon and Lee Camp on Thursday. So this is a very exciting week.
Yeah, that's gonna be fire
for us, man. So much shit was going on. Like, oh shit, we got Dr. Cornel West on 20th. I'll reach out and see if we still doing that. But anyway, lots of going on. A lot of great content. We are members of the proletariat. So we all have transition periods. I went through mine. That's why I streamed a little bit less over the last few weeks. CJ going through his. That's why I implore you guys to support him and help him through his transition.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been kind of irregular recently. Hopefully we get back on track. We got a very packed up week this week though. So make sure you guys check out, hit the subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell. Much love to all you guys. CJ, any last things you want to add?
Just play the. Actually, I'll say thank you for everybody that has donated. I did see recently Ryan Knight. I want to shout him out. He recently retweeted
Ryan Knight,
some of the stuff. So thank you for that, Ryan. And outside of that, I have nothing. I'll play a video, but make sure you check this out on Thursday. Me and Nick will be having these two great guests. All right, Nick. I'll see you tomorrow or Thursday. And let me go ahead and throw up this video to close us out. They're talking about on the threat of Trump winning. It's a real threat that Trump may win. And they talk about it on MSNBC. It's a good clip to close us out on. Tomorrow, Cornel West, I believe. We got to reach out to make sure he hasn't scheduled something else. Because this was scheduled 2 weeks in advance. So Cornel West possibly tomorrow, and then on Thursday we have Garland Nixon and Lee Camp together. Same conversation. I don't know if I've ever seen them talk together. That's why I wanted to get them on. So we will take care of that. Thank you, Zoya, for booking that. She's our new booker or media coordinator, I believe is the title. So thank you for doing that, Zoya. And here is the closeout video. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Where is it? Where's that link? Okay, here we go.
To 2024 politics now, and new reporting that some Democrats are now warning the threat of Trump winning back the White House is very real. That's after a new NBC poll shows President Biden with a tight 49 to 45% lead over Donald Trump, within the margin of error, and tied, by the way, with Ron DeSantis. Former Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan says if Democrats don't recognize how strong Trump's chances are, they're, quote, living in a world of delusion, and it's dangerous. Vaughn Hilliard joins us now. Vaughn, I think the obvious question is, how dangerous do they think this is? Is this, here's a word of caution, or five-alarm fire?
Right. I think the midterm elections, there were a lot of Democratic wins. You know, there was, even though Donald Trump wasn't on the ballot, a lot of Democrats said, hey, we can still turn out voters because Trump-endorsed candidates were on the ballot. But I had that conversation with Tim Ryan, Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin, who lost by just about 30,000 votes to Ron Johnson. And this is coming back to this data that we just got here. And the numbers make it clear that Donald Trump is in the position to win this Republican nomination. 49% of Republicans said that he should be the leader of their party going into the future. You can see the margin has grown for him in support, but that's where it goes to that next step. And yes, you look at the approval ratings among Americans for Donald Trump, right? The positivity number is not high, but you're looking at right there, 9% neutral, then 34% positive. That's about 43%. And you see in this polling other numbers there. Donald Trump in a Joe Biden head-to-head matchup, 49% to 45%. This is notable because this is a national poll. We got to go back to the fact of how American presidential elections are decided. They are a plurality vote in key swing states. The last NBC poll before the 2020 election had Joe Biden up by 10 percentage points over Donald Trump. You see what that number is now. In those battleground states that I've been having conversation with Democrats in, they say it is time for the party to be serious.
Do they look at one state in particular and say this state is more vulnerable this time around than it was in 2020?
I think Michigan and Wisconsin and Arizona are right there on the front line.